Welcome, one and all, to Romford Film Festival, our first night, and oh my goodness, what a strong set of short films that was, don't you think? Really diverse, really well made, really well executed. I was hugely, hugely impressed. So I'm going to go down the row and let you all introduce yourselves, and you can say what film you're representing. So I'll start with you. Hello.
Hi, I'm Remi Moses. I wrote and directed Saving Art, the first film.
Amazing.
Hi, I'm Alwyn, Ashworth, and I wrote and directed Remi.
I'm Guido, Zanghi, and I directed and co-wrote Deserters.
And my name is Adrian Wolfson, and I am the DOP from the same film.
Amazing. Well, my name's Ayvianna. So, I'll start, I suppose, by asking about your journey into filmmaking and how you all started out. Now, you, interestingly, I noticed that film was from London Film Schools, and it was of such a high standard, I couldn't believe. So, are you still currently a student? Like, was that a student film that we watched?
It was my graduation film. I made it at the end of 2022, but before film school I'd been making films for maybe 8 or 9 years. So I went into film school with experience, and I kind of had 2 years doing the masters, like chiseling and just working out those muscles and keeping fresh. So by the time it come to the grad stage, I kind of had a new tool set to kind of work on, and that's probably why it's like a bit
It's of such a high standard.
Yeah.
I was genuinely amazed. And what gave you the idea? How did the premise come to you?
My niece was diagnosed with leukemia at 5 years old, and at the time they gave her 18 months left to live. And luckily enough, she beat it. She got into remission within 30 days. But in that time, her family set up a kind of website where the family around the world could log in and see personal pictures, videos, and stories. And so this film I wrote in 2016. It was just a year after she got diagnosed, and it kind of came from that website full of stories and like daily blogs, just about the kind of naivety of kids and the innocence of kids, and how parents kind of project their own fears onto their kids with cancer. And so there was this idea of like a lingering darkness over these kids that I kind of wanted to talk about.
Wow. Well, I'm really pleased to hear that your niece is doing better, but what an amazing, powerful experience, and translated so well into a very powerful film. I'll just ask you the same question. Obviously now your film also concerned some really serious topics, but dealt with, I thought, in kind of quite a sort of, you managed to sort of put a bit of humour into it and kind of a lightness of touch, which I always think is nice when you're dealing with themes that could potentially be very, very heavy and very sort of depressing. It was actually quite a fun watch. So what was the genesis of the idea? How did the premise come to you?
Your film is very moving, by the way, and I'm a mom, so I was like, oh, don't get me right now. It's brilliant. So I like to make dark comedy, and I want to make a film about suicide because my family and I have been deeply affected by suicide. So I worked with a mental health organisation called We Are Hummingbird that was set up to break the stigma of mental health through music. So music plays a big part in the film, and with all the films I do, whether it's whether we're talking about suicide or burglary or mass murder, I like to try and find a light way to deal with heavy subjects, to shine a light on the darkness, but at the same time not linger there too much, and just kind of like leaning into comedy. But yeah, it is, the film is about what not to do when you find someone who is feeling suicidal, and but at the same time the message is that to talk about suicide, and I like talking about suicide, and any opportunity I have to talk publicly or personally with anybody about suicide, I'm up for it, because it needs to be talked about and not like a dirty word that people shy away from. So yeah, that's that. That's a bit of a waffle.
Thank you. No, yeah, and again, another very, very powerful film, I think you'll all agree. And for you, sir, your film about soldiers having deserted in a war, How did that come about?
Yeah, I can't say it has as personal inspiration as your films, but so I before going to film school, I studied history, and so that's kind of where the kind of idea started. But then working also with Ben, who was a co-writer, we wanted to make it into kind of a human story. So it became very much about the characters, about Tommy and Finn, and kind of about their relationship and how they tried to get away from war, but are kind of then kind of coerced back into the violence of it all by the circumstances and yeah, by that kind of the kind of predominant feeling that kind of is in all of the characters and that drives their actions, which is fear. So that's kind of what the story for us was about. Was kind of a human story, not kind of just a historical story.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you totally achieved that in terms of putting this huge war into a sort of human perspective. So another really well executed film, I thought. Did you want to add anything just to make you feel included?
No, I know. No.
Okay, no worries. So I guess I want to ask about sort of the process of actually making films, because I think you all have such amazing stories that you want to tell, and you all have a very strong voice, and there were 3 very strong, very unique pictures. What was the actual process like, and what kind of challenges did you face? Because I think we're all kind of bound together by being fairly kind of the low budget end of filmmaking at this level. And that can present challenges, as I'm sure you know. So what were the challenges you faced? How did you go about overcoming it?
I think my only challenge was working with so many kids. It was, at first it was with Pierre, and I was really concerned because he was really shy. And then all of a sudden on set, he was like this kind of energetic ADHD guy. And I was like, okay, maybe I've casted the wrong guy, because he's meant to be like really slow and confused and sad all the time. And we have a behind the scenes clip where he's like jumping up and down just when we're about to shoot the scene where Penny passes. And as we say action, he just is in his character, he's still. And he's just got something so natural about him that's so beautiful. But when he's with the other kids, they have so much fun, and it was ridiculous. Like the hospital basically turned into a nursery, because we had like arts and crafts. We had a football in there for some reason. There was like 10 kids, because some people brought their own kids or their sisters and brothers, and it was just mental. So that was the biggest thing. Other than that, luckily enough, I had no real problems. So yeah.
That's good to hear. And how did you find it? Breaking Children is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we shot on a 100-foot viaduct, and that we did actually shoot on that 100-foot viaduct, so that was kind of challenging. But generally, my main priority was to make sure I looked after the crew. Over the weekend, we shot over 3 days, and we had mental health first aiders on set, and we were a pretty tight crew. Some of us have been working together for years, some people were new to the crew, but it was just a nice little family.
And was this one of your first films? Because I know you said you had quite a lot of experience by this stage, but
It's my sixth
director.
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah. I've been directing for over 20 years now, so yeah. But no, a little bit. Yeah.
Thanks. I mean, for us, the kind of challenges we faced were mainly practical, kind of widely. I realised quite soon that it wasn't a great idea to have a period, to do a period short film, because the budget ballooned straight away in terms of uniforms and guns and even permits for locations. It was very hard to find a kind of a location that would work historically, and so that was kind of the first big challenge. And then the actual shoot was quite challenging, because it was in November in the rain and mud, and I have to say a big thank you to the cast and crew for kind of making it through those very tough, muddy days. And it was actually worse than it looked on screen. So.
And what about the process of actually shooting as a cinematographer? What did you find difficult? How did you go about it?
Well, the crew is kind of small, so you're running around doing like 5 jobs at once, kind of thing. That's the hard part, I guess. When you're trying to focus on like finding the shot to tell the story and the emotion, but yet you're having to put lights up and fix things and do stuff. That's really it. Really, apart from the rain and the mud just got worse and worse and worse. The last shot when he's walking up the stairs and all that mud on the stairs, that was basically 4 days of everyone basically in and out of that little cabin, making it muddier and muddier and muddier. So it got a bit nuts, really. And then all the kit was covered in mud, so they weren't very happy with us when we returned it, basically.
So, what drives all of you as creative people? I'm always interested in this question with directors and producers and writers, because at this level there's kind of not that much money in filmmaking and we're all kind of doing it for love. So what drives you, and what did you hope to achieve with your film? What response were you kind of hoping to evoke from the audience? Do you feel you've achieved what you were intending to achieve?
I think for me, it definitely had like success in that time, in that kind of perspective of intention. Because initially, when I wrote the script, I wrote the last scene first because it was kind of accurate to the time of Kanela's experience of chemotherapy. So it was about finding her superpower, and I just knew that I wanted to write a film around that and how we led up to that. And so like the past 2 screenings we've had, you know, I had a screening in the Sundance in January, and that was 300 people, Americans, just crying their eyes out. And for some reason, Americans really resonate with like emotional dramas more than Britons. So that was really overwhelming. But I've had experiences like that in, you know, every screening I've had where people have opened up to me or talked to me about their own losses or experiences with cancer and grief. So it's been really, like, I didn't expect it, you know, in that respect.
That's fantastic if it kind of opens a conversation and then people feel able to approach you and talk to you on a human level. So it's almost gone beyond the film.
It is really heavy though. Like the last thing I had, someone was in a conversation with me for like 20 minutes, talking about the son and daughter they lost. And so like it's real, but it's I wasn't expecting the heaviness. On set, it's like totally different because we was having so much fun, except for like the 2 or 3 crying scenes we had. Everything was fun. So to then now have screenings where some people are moved to the tears and some people find hope in it, and then it's just really interesting to see, you know, how people receive it.
Stunning. And your film, I think similarly, you find that you're inspiring conversations. Do people come up to you afterwards and want to talk about suicide? I mean, has it had that impact?
Yeah, and one of the surprising things was when we were filming, we'd be moving from like you know, when a lot of the opening shots of the film were sort of spread out, and we would be walking between locations, and I'd just be quietly listening to the rest of the crew, like getting to know each other, and there's lots of conversations about suicide happening. Some people opening up about their own suicidal thoughts, and some people talking about having lost family members or friends through suicide. So even just when we were shooting that weekend, I thought, oh, this is great. We're already talking about it, and I've not even made the film yet. And it's given me an opportunity to do a little bit of press around it, and with the organisation I'm working with. So it's been really good. There's been a lot of positive conversations about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what about you guys?
So this is just our second kind of public screening, so we haven't had too much kind of interaction with audiences that have seen it, but from what we've seen, it's been mostly positive response, and what I have enjoyed seeing in the response is that there's a lot of debate kind of going on about what the characters are feeling, what should they have done, why they did that, and that's, I hope it's not because of poor storytelling, but I think it's because the story itself addresses some dilemmas, and I think it's positive that it's affecting, that it's kind of generating these similar questions in the audience's mind. So that's, I don't know.
Fantastic. I'm just aware that there might be other people in the room with questions, just so it's not me gabbling on endlessly. Does anyone else have a question for the panel?
Put your hands in the air
There's
if you
a
have a question, right? Bear with me 1 second.
I just wanted to ask where the film room was actually located.
Hi. So I can't tell you the exact location because we're kind of keeping that a secret, but it was shot in Cumbria, if I can tell you that much.
Awesome, thank you. And I think Chris had a question at the front.
Right, Chris, would you mind shouting your question?
Okay, yes, certainly.
You can have this if you want. Oh no, it doesn't.
Oh no, sorry. So this is for everyone. What was the greatest lesson you learned from making the movies?
That's a good question. You don't have to go first if you want to think about it. I can start at the other end.
No, I can go.
Okay.
I think there was a day. I think it was the second day on set. Something very profound hit me, and it was because there was like 20 people on crew that came to help out to make this film. There was something in me that was like, this is really remarkable because we made the film 8 years after she got diagnosed. So to have someone and her family kind of choose love and happiness and joy despite all of that darkness, and then for that to resonate with people now, like 9 years later, I think it's crazy. So there's something in me that's like softened a little bit towards that, because I think kindness and joy, like the nurse says in the film, is a valid form of care. So it's a valid medicine, you know. So I think that's what I've learned, and I've just been a bit more patient with people and myself. So yeah.
Beautiful.
In terms of what I've learned during the shoot, I can't think. It's pumpkin's late at night, my mind's gone blank.
What about your film journey in general? Like, you're on your 6th movie now, so if you look back from like movie 1 to movie 6, have you learned anything through all those years?
Better get cracking on. What's going on? Yeah, I had some career breaks, that's why it's taken me a little while. But yeah, no, thank you for helping me there. I needed a rope. I have learned over the years a lot about myself as a filmmaker and what I want to do. And when I first started out filmmaking in film school, I wanted to make heavy films that hit people right in the elbow, and keeping it PC. And I made a film. And it was about a young woman dancing around a farm with a farm boy, and she lured him off through the fields, and they danced on a train track, and then they were dancing, and then he got hit by a train, and then she was like, and then she looked over the bridge at all the dead bodies, and I screened this to some audiences, and they laughed their socks off, and I was like, oh my god, they're laughing. I was just being weird. I was just being really weird. And then that was it. That was like cracked me. I was like, I just got a reaction. I really like that. I'm just going to do that again. So then, as a filmmaker, I learned that I like making people laugh. And I just generally like making people laugh. But yeah.
But you know, I think it was even more powerful because it was light-hearted. You know what I mean? I think it actually gave it more resonance somehow.
Yeah. Just mass murder. It's hilarious.
I mean, for me, the lesson was not to make a period film on a budget. But no, I mean, it was. I think actually maybe the biggest lesson. I mean, it's been a lesson that I've learned over the past few years, making short films in film school too. But kind of the importance of the spirit of collaboration. I think it really was a team effort to get this film done, and just it was really nice to see kind of everyone come together, and even actually from the very start, for me working just with a screenwriter, it was so great to have this kind of exchange, and I think that's possibly the most beautiful thing of filmmaking. I don't know if it's... Sorry.
I don't know, I'm going to be as profound as everyone else. I mean, I love what I do. I love creating, images and telling a story and getting that opportunity to do that. I'm always pushing myself, trying to get better, trying to do a better job every film I work on. So when I did this film, for me, it was the best thing I've ever done at that point. So and it's just onwards and upwards, But the most difficult thing in that film was actually trying to make the whole area look like moonlight. That's what I found was my moment of like, oh shit, how am I going to make this look like moonlight with 2 lights, basically. Not an easy thing. And then I found out afterwards that basically a lot of people find it difficult lighting moonlight.
Amazing. So looking to the future, looking forward, always looking forward, what are your plans for these films, also for your future as filmmakers? These were all shorts. Do I smell a feature in the future? What are you hoping to do as you go forward and take your filmmaking forward?
I'm in development now for Saving Art as the feature. Yeah, we just got really a lot of exciting stuff going on, so I'm just like everyone else, kind of just waiting for things to happen. Yeah, and then I'm producing some shorts. I'm directing a BBC short soon, and I'm also a programmer for slam dance now, so that's fun. I'm just trying to get in as many places as possible to kind of facilitate as much filmmaking in my life as possible. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm in early development for writing a couple of feature films actually. I've got 3 scripts on the go at the moment. So one is a queer rom-com called Penny and Lena, and one is a Scottish comedy horror called Scorned, it's a ghost story. So yeah, and then I've got some fantasy fiction feature in there as well. It's like a lot going on.
Yeah, I've also got a few ideas running in my head, and I have to kind of bring them to paper, and yeah, I'm kind of just fresh reading from this short film and from some other projects where I wasn't directing, so it's kind of still very early stages for my next project, but hopefully something will come soon.
I'm about to have a meeting tomorrow about a new film project, so all about mental health. Actually, it's going to be quite hardcore. So we're going to shoot a scene from a feature and then try and raise some money with that short, basically, to actually make the feature film. So it's about a musician who's got a lot of mental health problems. He wrote a book, and it's getting a bit of air play and stuff like that, and getting noticed. So yeah, we've got a few interesting people involved. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, can I say that I wish you all the best of luck with your future filmmaking endeavours. I really genuinely enjoyed all 3 of those shorts. They were all really, really strong. And can we have a round of applause for our